Dear Grade 12, I am Mrs. V. Ramlal. Welcome to the Junior Taki Winter School for Grade 12s. There will be a series of videos which will be live streamed in the next few weeks on Junior Taki Online. Please use this material as revision and also look at all the Grade 12 content in Life Sciences on Junior Taki Online. In this video, I will be looking at the Gauteng Prelim 2021 Paper 1. Before we look at the Gauteng Section A, let's look at the topics that will be in this paper. From Term 1, Reproduction in Vertebrates, for 8 marks. Human Reproduction, 41 marks. Term 2, Responding to the Environment in Humans, 54 marks. Term 3, Responding to the Environment in Plants, 13 marks. And from Term 2 and 3, Endocrine and Homeostasis, 34 marks. Your exam paper will have a Section A and a Section B. Section A will be 50 marks, will have multiple choice, terminology, and the matching column statements and other short questions. Section B will have a variety of questions, two questions, question 2 and a question 3 of 50 marks each, with many different levels of questions, and each question 2 and 3 will be 50 marks each, which will give us a total of 100. Right. Now, let's get down to the Grade 12 Gauteng 2021 Prelim Paper 1, Section A. Right. Question 1. 1.1 is multiple choice. Various options are provided as possible answers to the following questions. Choose the correct answer and write on the letter A to D next to the question number 1.1.1 to 1.1.8 in the answer booklet, for example 1.1.9D. 1.1.1. Which part of the neuron transmits an impulse towards the cell body? Here we should know the dendrites always carry the impulse to the cell body. So your answer here would be A. Right. 1.2. What is the gland that secretes insulin called? Now we should know by now that insulin is secreted by the pancreas. So your answer is D. 1.3. Which of the following structures in an amniotic egg protects the developing embryo from physical injury? Here we should know. We usually look for the amnion, but can you see there's no amnion? So the next bet is the shell. The shell is there for protection of the embryo from physical injury. Right. 1.1.4. Which label structure indicates the place where fertilization and implantation takes place? Right. So we know fertilization can take place here and implantation here. So those are A and D. So those letters are A and D, and so your answer would be A. Right. 1.1.5. Study the following factors related to reproduction in females. When progesterone levels peak, FSH and LH levels are low. 2. Ovulation occurs at around day 14. When fertilization occurs, FSH remains high. Estrogen and progesterone produced by the ovaries during the ovarian cycle influence the uterine cycle. Now, we have to look for the correct statements. Now, for me, I can see that 1 is correct, 2 is correct, and 4 is correct. So, my correct answer here will be D. Right, here there's a lot of thinking, and here you have to know the menstrual cycle. Right, 1.1.6. Which of the following represents the correct sequence of development after fertilization has taken place? So, I know the zygote will undergo mitosis to form a morula, which will then form the blastocyst and then the fetus. So, your correct answer is B. Right. Use the diagram below to answer question 1.1.7 and 1.1.8. 1.1.7. The only part of the sperm cell that enters the ovum during fertilization is. So, the only part that enters we know is the nucleus, and that is found in the head, and that will be part C. And what is part C? Which letter you had to choose at? B. Most of the kids wrote C and they didn't write B, and that's where they made their mistake. So please, it's part C, but the multiple choice letter that you have to choose is B. And the parts of the sperm that assist the sperm with movement will be obviously the tail and the mitochondria, and that was A and B, which was obviously letter C. Okay, And that was our multiple choice. Terminology now. Give the correct biological term for each of the following descriptions. Write down the term next to the question number 121 to 125 in the answer booklet. 121. A condition caused by the lens of the eye becoming cloudy. That we know is a cataract. 122. The part of the nervous system that responds when the person gets a fright. Which part of the nervous system? That we know is the autonomic nervous system. 123. The phenomenon where the main central stem displays more growth than the side stems at the tip of a tree. That we know is apical dominance. 124. The type of development where young birds are born with their eyes closed and with no feathers. That we know is altricial. 125. The structure that provides nutrients to the developing embryo in ovoviviparous animals. That we know is the yolk, or they would have accepted albumin as well. Right, 1.3. Matching columns. Indicate whether each of the statements in the column 1 apply to A only, B only, both A and B, or none of the items in column 2. Write A only, B only, both A and B, or none next to the question number 131 to 133 in the answer booklet or answer book. 133. The hormone responsible for the falling of ripe fruit that we know is abscisic acid, so it's A only. 132. Function of the allantoid in the amniotic egg. The allantoid is involved in removing wastes. So here we only write B only. Now, it's not involved in gaseous exchange. 133. A fish laying eggs prior to fertilization is external fertilization, yes, because the eggs are laid outside the body, and it's egg laying, which is oviparous, so the answer is both A and B. Right, question 1.4. 1.4. The diagram below represents the human male reproductive system. 141. Give the letter of the part that is associated with each of the following statements. Sorry about that. Temporarily stores sperm. We know that temporarily stores sperm, that's the epididymis. They only want the letter, so E. B. If cut semen will not contain sperm, yes, that we know is D. Of course, that's the vas deferens. They only want the letter D. Letter of the part that transports both urine and semen, that's the urethra, which is H. Assists in optimum sperm production at a temperature lower than body temperature. We know that is the testes, which is kept in the scrotum. And remember, the scrotum is what keeps the testes at the correct temperature, which is below body temperature, and that is G. E. Produces testosterone. We know that's F, that's the testes. And secretes an alkaline fluid which neutralizes the acidity of the vagina, which would kill the sperm. That we know is the prostate gland, and that would be B. Now, here the memo says A. I'm sure there's a mistake in it. So the correct answer is the prostate gland. Please make sure to correct that. And let's change that to make it that we know is the prostate gland, which secretes an alkaline fluid. Right, so that is B. Right, so that was question 1.4. Question 1.5. Question 1.5. I like this question a lot. It tricked many kids in Gauteng. 1.5. A young seedling was removed from the soil and placed on its side. Once placed on its side, the shoot, excluding the tip, was exposed to light from all directions, indicated by the arrows. So these arrows indicate the light direction to prevent phototropism. 151. Which hormone stimulates seed germination? That's easy. Gibberellins. Now, name the tropic movement that will be observed in the seedling above after it was placed on its side. Immediately placed on its side and it was exposed to uniform light, it will only be geotropism. So, it's placed on its side, we want to see the effect of gravity. 153. Give the letters of the areas where the seedling has its highest concentration of auxin before being placed on its side. That will be B and E at the tips, because that's where auxin is produced in the highest concentration at the tips. B, where the seedling would have the highest concentration of auxin after being placed on its side, that will still be B, not A and C because it's exposed to light, B, the tip, and D, the underside here of the root. And C, where cell elongation will be inhibited in the shoot, that will be A and C because it's exposed to light on all directions. So here, growth will be will be prevented from growing. 154, name 2 defense mechanisms used by plants to stop herbivores from eating them. 2, chemical or mechanical, which is thorns. Right, that was a nice question. I hope you understood that. 1.6. The diagram below shows different glands, the hormones they release, and their target organs. Right, so there you have your kidney, the gland on the kidney, and this is another gland that has its effect on the kidney. 161. Identify each of the following. A. The glands labeled A and B. A we know is the pituitary gland, has an effect on the kidney. B is the adrenal gland. B. Which is the hormones labeled C and D. C, produced by the adrenal gland, has an effect on the kidney, aldosterone, and D, produced by the pituitary gland, has an effect on the kidney, and that's ADH or antidiuretic hormone. 162. Which substance in the body is regulated by hormone C? Which substance does aldosterone regulate? Sodium or salt? 163. Name one other hormone released by gland B, and that is adrenaline. And 164. Give the term used to describe the regulation of a constant internal balance, even if the internal or external environment changes. That we know is homeostasis. Thank you for joining me and doing the Prelim, Gauteng Prelim Section A. Join me and watch all my other videos as well.